Donald Trump has been crashing out in the Oval Office over a MeidasTouch episode that was just released, where we did an interview with Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries. We also interviewed Senator Raphael Warnock of Georgia and Laura Ingraham of State Regime Media, which calls itself Fox, started attacking the MeidasTouch network and these interviews and calling out Jeffries and calling out Warnock. And Donald Trump evidently was watching our interviews because in the Oval Office during this crash out, he was calling out Hakeem Jeffries regarding the interview we did that Laura Ingraham on State Regime Media posted. And he's been making social media posts as well about our interview. Just to quickly remind you, when we interviewed Democratic leader Jeffries, he says, everything is on the table when Democrats take the majority in the House in terms of legislatively how to deal with the Supreme Court. In the new Congress, we're going to have to do something about this Supreme Court. And let me be very clear, everything is on the table, to which Laura Ingraham, one of Trump's chief propagandists, writes, Senator Thune, take note. They'll pack the court and abolish the filibuster. They're telling us this. Then the interview I did with Senator Raphael Warnock, he said that, first of all, no one elected this court, the United States Supreme Court, to decide what kind of remedies we need in this moment. It's really not up to the Supreme Court to say, well, we've reached a threshold where this issue around race and inclusion is no longer necessary. And he's referring, of course, to the United States Supreme Court decision in the Louisiana versus Callis case, where the Supreme Court essentially struck down Section 2 of the Voting Rights Act and said that it is racist to be anti-racist and try to block racist gerrymandered maps. The Supreme Court said that's a racist thing to try to create inclusive maps that have majority black congressional districts. Laura Ingraham wrote, apparently Warnock's not familiar with Marbury versus Madison. So in response to these posts by Laura Ingraham commenting on our interviews, Donald Trump posted, Hakeem Jeffries called the Supreme Court of the United States an illegitimate court. This is a low IQ individual who should not be allowed to talk that way about one of the greatest institutions anywhere in the world. Donald Trump has called the Supreme Court illegitimate and has attacked the Supreme Court justices many, many times. And Trump's use of the term low IQ is a way he attacks black people in the very racist fashion that he engages in all sorts of things. Then Donald Trump, during this crash out in the Oval Office, after watching our interview with Jeffries and Warnock, started attacking Jeffries for the interview he did with the MeidasTouch network. I want you to watch this.
Defund law enforcement. It's crazy. These people have gone crazy. I heard Hakeem Jeffries, a low IQ person. He's a very low IQ, screaming today that the Supreme Court is illegitimate. I mean, that's a dangerous statement. Then if I say something modest, they say, oh, he's a king, he's a king. They're sick. But Hakeem Jeffries said the Supreme Court is illegitimate. That's a rough statement. If I made that statement, it would be the biggest story out there. Bad things would happen. Yeah.
One of the ideas.
Apparently, it's not just the MeidasTouch network in Donald Trump's head. He's terrified of what's happening in Iran. Donald Trump promised on Sunday that Iran was going to blow up by now because the oil pipelines were going to be completely congested and overpressurized, and that would lead to a massive explosion and the war would be won. Of course, that's not a real thing. Iran's parliament leader MB Ghalibaf writes, if you build two walls, one from New York City to the West Coast and another from LA to the East Coast, the total length will be about 7,755 kilometers, which is still about 1,000 kilometers short of Iran's total borders. Good luck blockading a country with those borders. P.S. for Pete Hegseth, 1 kilometer equals 0.62 miles. And then Iran's president, Pezeshkian, went on to say, The world has witnessed Iran's tolerance and conciliation. What is being done under the guise of a naval blockade is an extension of military operations against a nation paying the price for its resistance and independence. Continuation of this oppressive approach is intolerable. That as we learned that Israel says that it's preparing for additional strikes soon against Iran once it gets the green light from the United States. But Netanyahu was working with Donald Trump to try to get that green light to take place. So Donald Trump asked questions about this in the Oval Office during this crash out, where originally the crash out over our interview with Jeffries and Warnock. Then Donald Trump's like, look, Iran's dying to make a deal with us, okay? They're dying to do this deal. And, look, we're winning this war. Here's what Trump says. Here, play this clip.
I mean, Iran is dying to make a deal. I can only tell you that. I don't want to get into it, but they cannot be nuclear other than that. But their Navy's gone, their Air Force is gone. Every ounce of any form of equipment practically is gone. You know, their drone factories are about 82% down, and their missile factories are almost 90% down. And many of their missiles have been knocked out. They used some, but we knocked out more than they used. And it's pretty amazing what's happened. They want to make a deal. But despite the fact that we are in what some people would call a war, we just hit a new high today on the stock market. We have S&P is through the roof. They're through the roof.
All right, here's the thing. There's nothing worse than car trouble at the worst possible time. I've been there. We've all been there. I remember being on the road with my family. Everything's going fine. And then suddenly dashboard lights, weird noises, you name it. Next thing you know, you're stuck on the side of the road, stressing, just thinking, how much is this about to cost me? And spoiler alert, it's never cheap. That's exactly why I started looking into CarShield, because with CarShield, you're not just rolling the dice every time you start your car. They offer protection plans that help cover those expensive repairs, and honestly, that peace of mind is huge. What I love about CarShield is it's simple. They've got 24/7 roadside assistance, courtesy towing, and even rental car options at no additional cost. So if something does go wrong, you're not stranded. Plus, they work with ASE certified mechanics and repair shops nationwide, so you know your car's in good hands. And let's talk about cost, because that's what we all care about. Their plans are low cost, month to month, with low deductibles, which means you're not getting hit with a massive bill when you least expect it. They've been doing this for over 20 years, covering over 2 million vehicles with a 96% customer rating and an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau. That is real trust. Make a decision your wallet will love with CarShield. And right now, CarShield is offering our listeners 20% off with the code Midas at carshield.com/Midas. Visit carshield.com/Midas to lock in your coverage today and protect yourself from expensive car repairs. Again, go to carshield.com/Midas and use code Midas for 20% off. That's MEIDAS.
Then, of course, Donald Trump attacks NATO. He says, not only are we going to withdraw our troops from Germany, also Italy and Spain. Here, play this clip.
You talked about possibly pulling out some troops out of Germany. Would you be considering the same thing for Spain and Italy? I mean, they haven't been exactly on board.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, I probably will. Why should I? Look, why shouldn't I? Italy has not been of any help to us. And Spain has been horrible, absolutely horrible. It's NATO. It's not even the fact that they're bad. It's one thing if they said nicely, or if they said, okay, we'll help, but the help's a little slow. But the level, and we helped them with Ukraine. They made a mess out of Ukraine, a total mess. And we helped them with Ukraine. Ukraine has nothing to do, we're an ocean apart. It has to do with them. It's like for them, it's their front door. We help them. And Biden gave them $350 billion, which was insane. It's one of the reasons the war went on. But when we needed them, they were not there. We have to remember that. And
then Donald Trump says he's not going to wear any bulletproof vest because it would make him look 20 pounds heavier. Okay, play it.
Yes, it does.
Okay, and he hasn't been charged yet with that. Of course, that could come. I want to follow up on the security changes. Is there talks about you potentially wearing a bulletproof vest moving forward, given you have now been shot at?
I don't
so
know if I
many
can
times?
handle looking 20 pounds heavier. These guys, they look so good. Some of these guys are physical specimens. Some of these guys are trouble. I don't want to be near him. No.
And then he was asked if he was informed. Have you got any information that the alleged suspect in the White House correspondent shooting incident actually fired on the Secret Service agent? Like, do you know that? Because there seems to be a lot of information that says that did not happen. And Donald Trump starts like yelling at the reporter. We'll share this with you right here.
I follow up on my question earlier. Have you been informed if the Secret Service agent who was shot on Saturday, if that was from friendly fire or if it was from the suspect?
Well, they say it was not friendly fire.
So you're hearing that it's from...
Well, that's what I heard. I mean, I heard that. They said it wasn't friendly fire.
Okay.
It was actually reported. You read the reports because it was actually reported.
Yes, sir. I read through the DOJ memo.
Yeah, but well, then why do you ask me the question?
I don't believe it said that the agent was struck by...
I'm just saying they said it wasn't friendly fire.
And he hasn't been charged
It wasn't
yet.
us.
Okay, and he hasn't been charged yet with that. Of course, that could come. I want to follow up on the security changes. Is there talks of...
And by the way, so not only is Donald Trump reacting to MeidasTouch Network, not only is Trump reacting to Iran getting around the blockade and not surrendering, also the European Union, essentially their VP and Foreign Minister Kaja Kallas. She's pretty incredible. She calling out Trump in essence says, Russia does not want to engage in any kind of dialogue. We should not humiliate ourselves by saying, please, we beg you to talk to us, Russia. Again, mocking Donald Trump. And then you have the foreign minister of Poland, Sikorski, say, I wish some men had her balls. And Donald Trump, obviously, just think about the contrast right there. So Trump's asked, hey, man, average price of a gallon of gas is now $4.30. Trump's like, yeah, but it's worth it. People understand. People love paying higher prices because we got rid of the nuclear capabilities of Iran last June. What? Wait. We got rid of the capabilities last June. Mission accomplished. You're still blockading. You're saying they need to give up their nuclear ambitions, but they don't have nuclear material. Okay, can you talk about can you get a consistent story here? I know you can't. Here, play this clip.
Bad things would happen.
One of the ideas...
The average price of a gallon of gas is now $4.30 in this country.
And you know what? And we're not going to have a nuclear weapon in the hands of Iran. The gas will go down. As soon as the war's over, it'll drop like a rock. There's so much of it. It's all over the place, sitting all over the oceans of the world. And it'll go down. But what won't happen is if Iran had a nuclear weapon and used it, then the whole world is a different place.
What about
You're
the
not going to have to
mixers?
pay a little bit more for gasoline. The oil will go down rapidly as soon as the war is over.
Then Donald Trump is asked, hey, your buds, the Saudis, are pulling out of the Live Golf Tournament. They're not funding it anymore. You and Saudi Arabia, you were big supporters of this Live tournament. What do you make of it? It's kind of making a mess of all of these golfers who were pulled out of the PGA to join Live. What do you make of it, Donald? And Donald Trump's like, they're going to be having a tournament at one of my golf courses in DC coming up. Yeah, we know that. Everything you touch dies. Everything you touch bankrupts. Like, you've screwed over golf, but, apparently the golfers, you could screw over their profession. You can prop up the Saudi Live tournament and destroy people's lives, but then just blame it on others, right? Just blame it on other people, huh? Here, play this clip.
We'll see how long they hold out. We'll see.
President Trump, Saudi Arabia is pulling the plug on Live Golf. Once that tour is gone, do you think the PGA Tour should welcome the defectors back with open arms?
Well, I do. It's a great question. In fact, if I had time, I'd love to watch television today because the PGA Tour is playing at Doral, the Cadillac Championship. And I said, who's winning? I don't get a chance. I can't even look at
Jordan
it.
Spieth was in the lead earlier.
Who is?
Jordan Spieth.
Oh, that's good. He's good. Great guy. Good putter, to put it mildly, right? He's a very great guy. Chipper putter. They're at my tournament right now, the PGA. In 2 weeks, Liv is going to be at my course right here in the Potomac. No, I'd love to see Liv, but I do believe that all of the golfers should be playing, the great golfers should be playing against each other. I do believe, it's sort of, they were viewing something as a monopoly, but it's the way it should be the opposite of a monopoly. I want to see Rory playing Bryson DeChambeau. I want to see Big John Rahm playing.
Then Donald Trump, of course, talking about the ballroom. Play this clip.
Now, right outside, we have something that's on time, on budget, actually ahead of time, ahead of budget, depending on finishes. Finishes is a big difference between marble and onyx in price, but it's right on budget, right on time. And that's built to the highest standards of security. No units on top, no hotel built on top where an elevator comes right down through the middle of it. It's a tough location. That's a tough location.
And then I don't need to play this clip for you, but he talks about his new Surgeon General pick, Nicole Saphier. And Donald Trump's like, she's a Fox host, Nicole Saphier. She's going to be my new Surgeon General. She's great on Fox. Let me just share with you who Donald Trump's new Surgeon General is and how bizarre of an individual she is and how dangerous of an individual she is. Let's play this clip of her talking about how woke ideologies, men are losing their testosterone watching Marvel movies because they're too woke or something like this. Here, play this clip.
Go even younger to some of the animated like Jungle Book, Hercules, Aladdin, Peter Pan, all of those. What has happened in the last decade when it comes to Disney is demasculinization of all of their characters. And while they're wanting to lift up the women to be these strong characters, instead of having an equal man, they had to push that man down. And you've heard directors and producers and even some of the talent coming out and saying, maybe she was talking about Snow White. She was saying how we can't have him there's no consent to the kiss at the end, that like, whatever it is, they're taking away from it, and men are not interested in this. Right. You look at Inside Out, which was one of Pixar's movie, and they had an anxiety character. Elements, which was another animated movie, they had a non-binary character. People are not interested in a lot of these woke ideologies, especially men who are watching some of these movies. You have to get back some of that testosterone and that adventure, and I'm sorry, but these movies just don't cut it.
So, Lisa, why is it...
Anyway, there you have it, folks. Let me know what you think. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 7 million subscribers. And thanks, everybody, for watching. Let's get to 7 million, huh? You may think you're subscribed, but you may not actually be subscribed. Double check that you're subscribed, okay? Thanks for watching.
Want to stay plugged in? Become a subscriber to our Substack at MeidasPlus.com. You'll get daily recaps from Ron Filipkowski, ad-free episodes of our podcast, and more exclusive content only available at MeidasPlus.com.